For years and years and years, I've played billiards, pool, 8-ball, 9-ball, that kind of stuff. I started really right out of high school. I was in college for electronics engineering, and I got really pretty good for an amateur. I don't know that I ever made it pro level, but I did play in the national tournament in Las Vegas in 2002. And along the way, I played in plenty of seedy places and barroom, pool halls and that kind of stuff. At many times, I've played against people who they want to use the 8-ball in a combination, or they want to use these jump shots that really look more like a shovel shot, where they just kind of take their stick and scoop the cue ball up over the air and throw it somewhere else on the table without any control of that. I've also shot with people, a young lady named Rhonda, for an example, down in Austin, who was 4'2", and she would literally sit in the middle of the table. She had a special waiver from the league to sit in the middle of the table. But she would do that and masse the ball around herself. She was that talented with cue ball control. Here's what I found in all of those environments. I don't care how good you are at playing pool. If you have to create rules to play by in order to win, it's called cheating. Now, there are different types of rules, but if you have to create rules to play by in order to win, it's called cheating. Welcome to Leading Leaders Podcast, 5-minute videos, 5 days a week. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast. I bring that up because I remember John Maxwell saying one time in a mentorship call that somebody had asked him to come in and do a teaching specifically on business ethics. And his reply was, I don't know that there is such a thing as business ethics. Either you have ethics or you have no ethics. Ethics are pretty much across the board, and I have to agree with that. My reply to people who want to do shovel shots or use the 8-ball in a combination or some other various form of, well, it suits me right now, therefore I'm going to do it kind of a rule. Yes, you can put that in quotes and call that, I'm going to do it because it suits me right now, kind of a rule. I think we've found a place in our system where a lot of people are doing that. But I digress. If someone wants to play by those rules while playing me in a competitive game of 8-ball or 9-ball, I almost always say, that's fine. Just remember, if you do it in this shot, it's now legal for me for the rest of the game. So if you can use the 8-ball in any combination, then I can use it at any point as well, as many times as I like. And if that's the rule, just be aware of the advantage that gives me, because it may be your advantage in this individual shot, but it gives me a huge advantage the rest of the game. If we can use shovel shots or throw or move the ball out from the rail 1/8 of an inch or 1/2 an inch or the width of the stick, because that suits you right now, then just remember I have that same advantage the rest of the game. And if that's been handicapping you while I haven't been using that rule, what do you think is going to happen when I do? See, we see that problem today in politics. Sometimes it seems like players just make up the rules. And I'm not going to assign that to any particular party or person, but it does seem like in politics, some people just make up the rules as they go. And when they're done making up the rule to benefit them for the moment, it's like they withdraw that rule or they retract it from the playbook and say, oh, no, nobody can do that. Well, but you just did that. No. You imagined that I did that. See, the problem with that basic theory of relationships is that if you get into business together with anybody, whether they're family or they're friends or they're random strangers who are in the same industry, and in the course of doing business together, you find that they do things in the business, with the finances, with relationships, with tools, with equipment, whatever, that benefits them and them only. And then along the way, when it's advantageous for you to do the same thing you've already seen them do, all of a sudden it's off the books. All of a sudden it's illegal. All of a sudden I'm going to cancel our relationship over this. Then you need to really ask yourself the question to begin with, what ethics are they working with? What level of MO are they dealing with? See, I do some work in the Congo with the parliament over there, and one of the challenges we find is what we in America would consider to be illegal, they consider to be the norm. We would call it bribery, unethical. They call it the way business gets done. If you want to open that kind of business here, you're going to have to pay so-and-so X amount of money. Well, that's not on the books anywhere. It's not a tax. It's not a fee. It's a bribe. That's what everybody else on the planet calls it. But there they call it the way to get business done. The idea of having a set of core values that says, this is the way that we operate. When you're doing business with somebody else, when you're serving alongside someone else, when you're activating your gifts, skills, and talents in a relationship with someone else, it's a really good idea that you take the role of leadership and say, let's kind of assess before we start your core values and my core values. Let's put them under pressure. You know, a non-disclosure agreement is a form of that pressure. A contract is a form of that pressure. Doing a small deal together is a form of that pressure. Asking their previous cohorts how they do business, that's a form of pressure. See, we don't always have that advantage in politics. We look back maybe at their congressional votes or how they run their business or what kind of relationships and reputation do they have around town. But by the time they get into political office, it's almost impossible to nail them down. It's like trying to nail a jellyfish to the wall. But in doing business, in building relationships, whether they're personal or business relationships, it behooves you as a leader to ask those questions up front. What basis of ethics are we operating on? What is our core value alignment? And if they don't align, then you're going to have to take one of two paths. Either one, you've got to consider not doing business with this individual because there is no alignment in your core values together. Or number two, you may have to say, I'm willing to take this risk because perhaps they know things that I don't. They do things in a way that I don't, but they're not necessarily wrong or illegal. They're just different than the way I do them. And if our core values can match on the primary things, maybe the rest of those things can actually sharpen me, sharpen the way I do business, sharpen the things that I believe, sharpen the ideas that I hold. And that will make me a better person, sharpening my leadership skills and increasing my personal growth. I hope you'll take that into consideration as you move into 2020, who you do business with, who you align yourself with, who you involve in your personal life, your business life, maybe your religious life or your political life. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day. Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.